And this really is about running a successful, profitable construction company and enjoying it, which is really, really important. I think some of the clients I've worked with in the past really don't get that bit, but we drag them screaming and kicking into enjoying what they do again. So it's about getting control. So really what we're covering is a way of gaining control, time, and increasing profit in construction business. So we're kind of breaking it down to a few sections. It's some real value. It's not about just selling what I do. I will discuss what I do at the end of it, but there is stuff in here that you can put into your business and you can use. There's a couple of really good tools you can use as well. So well worth paying attention. And pad and paper is worth having as well. I seem to go backwards. Hold on. Right. So who am I? Why am I involved with helping construction companies? Well, I've been in the industry my whole life. I'm a chartered builder, and I've been working on sites since I was about 10, driving dumpers. But I kind of worked my way up from site all the way through to the kind of board of directors and that kind of thing. I've got a degree in construction management, and the kind of projects I've been involved with, well, everything really, but residential development, commercial office builds, hospitals, listed buildings, and luxury housing projects. And I've owned and managed companies with turnovers up to an excess of about 12 million, roughly 12, 14 million. So a couple of clients that have worked with me, this is Alex Hennessy. He runs a company called Copperstone Projects. They've grown quite considerably over the last few years, and we worked with him for quite a long time. Sure Build Homes, we've worked with them and work with them at the moment, and that's all been quite positive, really. In fact, they're thinking about moving into our Platinum Plus, which is the top that we offer. And Ben Henry actually used to be a subcontractor to me when I was running all my contracting companies, and I've helped him scale his business and kind of move his business forward. So failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And we as builders tend to be really, really good at firefighting. We tend to be really good at adapting and changing and trying to sort out kind of problems as they arise. And that's not the right approach. We're good at it, and we have to do a bit of it, but it's really just not the idea. Running a business is hard work, but it can be fun. Working hard isn't necessarily, a problem. But working really hard and working very long hours isn't sustainable. So proactivity and positivity is key. So being proactive, planning. It's all about planning and really understanding where you're going, where you're coming from, and everything else like that. So like I said, business, running a business is not easy. And I come across a lot of business owners that really have had enough. We've got an 80% failure rate in the industry. So it's a lot. And it's often because people understand the building bit, they don't understand the business bit. And why would they? Who's taught them that? Who sat there and kind of actually explained how you run a business? So it's quite obvious that there is going to be a failure around that, and people who can't even perhaps organise their own money are suddenly organising the money for a business, and it's a big ask, but it's not complicated to solve. So obviously found this picture on the internet somewhere, but some of the challenges that I speak to hundreds and hundreds of business owners in the construction industry. And I have my clients as well, and people generally, people are busy at the moment, so that's a good thing. But they find it difficult to control. the kind of business and everything that's happening around them. Cash flow is an issue. Cash flow is always an issue, but there are ways of mitigating that, and there are ways of understanding cash flow, making sure that everyone around you understands. And it's about real kind of honest approach, and also making sure people that know that you need to be paid, and that's really important. Often I hear this: I made a profit last year, but I haven't seen it. Happens a lot. And I think it's really, really important to understand your figures, and to understand your figures on a kind of a micro level. So understanding on a month-on-month basis what your figures and KPIs are. So KPIs are key performance indicators. So you know how your business is doing. It's a bit like if you're watching a rugby team, you didn't know what the score was, and you couldn't hear what the ref said, you might lose track of how well your team's doing or not doing. So that could be a major problem for you. And it wouldn't make the game very interesting, really, because you just kind of, at the end of the day, you kind of get the final whistle. Unless there was an absolute kind of, whitewash, you wouldn't know who's won. So knowing your figures is really important. And as I said earlier, working long hours, with no time with family or just chill time, it's not sustainable, and it doesn't give you time to work on the business. You just end up being sucked into the business, and that's not really good. What we really want is people to feel a bit like this chap, on running a business. You've got to feel that every day's a good day, and that can happen. So looking at business owners, this is what I call the 5 levels of business ownership. And what I like to think is that we take our clients through this, and often our clients admit to being in level 2, but they're often in level 1, but level 1 or 2, and we're trying to get them up to owner. Now, owner, the top level, really, it's kind of the business is running without you. So not everyone wants to get there. Some people enjoy working the business. It's not something in our industry that people are kind of absolutely want to get to. But if you get to level 4, it means you're in total control of the business and you're just managing it. That's all you're doing. So you've got a good team in, and you've grown it to that point. And then there's a bit of a roadmap with working with someone like me, and basically, we start with getting you the vision for the business, know where you're going, why you're going there, and getting you a plan to get there. It's really important. If you're working towards something that isn't realistic, and I don't mean that in the way that you want £100 million, turnover. I mean that it just doesn't work. That you're going to have. If you want a business where you're just managing it, you need people below you. So at what size does that make that happen? What size does it need to be? So you've got kind of the vision bit, and that's so important as we start off with. And then we start moving towards that vision by making sure you're making the profit you need to make, and you've got the operations and systems in place that you need. If you've got an operational system in place, you don't have to think about the next stage. You don't have to think, what do I do next in this situation? Because because you've got a system in place. You just follow the system. It speeds everything up. Absolutely, fantastically. And a few template letters, a few template emails, some simple systems in place. Everyone can follow that. And the other thing is, you've got a simple system in place. When you're not there, someone else can follow the system. And then the value side is really kind of when we get to the financial KPI. So like I said, the key performance indicators. So the feedback you get on a monthly basis that things are going right. So if you were, as Rocky, who was on earlier, sitting on holiday on a boat in the middle of nowhere, and someone just sent you the figures, 10 figures, from those KPIs, the key performance indicators, that your business is doing okay. So they're quite important, and they are different for almost every business. We talk about leadership. Leadership is really important because the culture of a business is driven by the leader. It's something like 90%. So if someone comes to me and goes, all the people work for me are crap, and the business isn't going well, and if I had a better team, actually the person unfortunately to blame for that is the business owner, because 90% of that is down to his leadership. And having the right team around you is really important, and there's ways that we help to do that. So what's this webinar about, and how we're going, what we're going to do to improve things for you? We're going to look at time management. Time management is so big in the construction industry anyway, but it's also about your time. I see so many projects that do not even have a program. And if they do have a program, it's put in the drawer up on the wall and no one touches it. A program is there to lead you. It's a daily reminder of what you need to do, and it needs to give you feedback. So time management is really, really important. And I've put in here, create more time, but you can't do that. But you can do things in shorter time, and you can make sure that you've got a kind of benefit of being in control, so that you're not overwhelmed, so that you can follow your systems and everything works much easier. It's more of a fluid flow to what you're doing. Improve processes. Process is so important. If you're kind of a business owner that flies by the seat of your pants, then that's not a good thing. So you really need to think about that. So you need to have systems in place so you can delegate. And we'll talk about delegation later on. And we're going to teach delegation because we're going to talk about it later on. I just said that. So we're going to look at cash management. Cash management is really, really important. Companies do not go bust from not making a profit, or if they do, it's a very slow death. They tend to go bust by just running out of cash. So cash flow, if you're not managing your cash flow 6 months to a year in front, you're not allowing yourself time to react to problems. And that's really important. And it's really simple. And I can show you a very simple way of doing that. So you've got to be consistent. You've got a plan. And we're going to show you a quick management approach that will save you time as well if you work with subcontractors and people that are directly employed. People management really is important. When I did a degree in construction management, I'm a chartered builder. I've never been taught how to manage people. People don't seem to teach it. You either got it or you haven't. Well, that's not quite true. You can be taught how to manage people the right way. And it's about having the guts to be a bit frank and honest without being bullish. It's getting that balance right. Improve training, delegation. That's really important. Delegation is absolutely critical to a business. So there's a difference between delegation and abdication. So abdication means that you just ask someone to do something and let them go on with it. Delegation means they give you some feedback to say they've done it correctly. That's all it is. But if you do abdication, you will definitely fail at some stage. If you delegate properly, it makes it quite a powerful partnership. And just another testimonial here. So time management. So what do you do with your time? Do you know? It's quite important to think about time. And yes, we don't want to measure it down to the nearest minute. It's very OCD in that way. But if you, as I get my clients to do, get an assessment through a 2-week log. So just do every hour what they're doing roughly. It's just to see what they do on a regular basis, and we can work out how they're using their time. And also, even if they never hand the log back to me, a lot of them don't, they kind of get a wake-up call that they spend a lot of time traveling or spending a lot of their time not being productive. So it's quite an important thing for them to do. So it does clearly show where your time is being used, and that's quite important. And allows you to assess what tasks can be delegated. So if you know what you're doing and where you're wasting time, you can start to think about delegation, and we're going to go through into a system that helps you delegate. So what I'm about to show you is a really fantastic tool, and it can be used in so many ways. So I'm going to explain the tool first, and then I'll explain the other ways of using it. which I use with companies up to, you know, my biggest clients are kind of 10, 15 million. So I still use this tool with them. Okay, and I explain different ways of using it. And it's a really valuable tool. So it's called the Skills Fun Interest Matrix. So basically, use a whiteboard, and you split it into 9 squares, and you can see the arrows. The red arrow going up is how difficult it is to do that job or that particular task. And the blue arrow going right is about how hard it is, how much you enjoy it. So if you've got something in square 9, it's going to be really easy to do, but you really enjoy doing it. If you've got something in square 1, it's going to be really hard to do and you don't enjoy doing it. So if you were to sit there and write down every task, making tea and coffee could be a task, and put it up there where it belongs in the squares, you're starting to get a list really of the tasks that you use or tasks that you do. And then if you've got anything in 7, 8, and 9, they can be delegated. So that's one way of using this. So you can delegate that because they're easy to do, and you know, you've got the list of tasks, you put them up there. I use Post-it notes, by the way, on a whiteboard normally. So 4, 5, and 6, you need to put some kind of process in place to delegate them, because you know, if you get a process in place, someone can follow it, and might need a bit of training, but you should be able to delegate them, say 6 months' time or a year's time. That'd be your aim. And the 1, 2, and 3, really, they are quite skilled. So it might be, you know, preparing a tender, or it might be doing a cash flow forecast. So with those tasks, you either have to have someone that's skilled to do them, to order to get someone else to do them, or you'd have to train someone over a period of time to do it. So I said there's a couple I use it often for, is I get a whole team. So let's say there's 3 or 4 of you in the office, or 2 of you, or whatever. You put all your tasks up there. And what I find a lot is the companies who are growing tend to hire in panic. So they just say, I need someone in the office, we'll get an admin person in, but they haven't got a clue what they're doing. So what I do is I get the whole team to put all their jobs up on this matrix, and then you pick off all the ones that are going to be the new role. So people know what tasks they're losing, but also you start to fill the role for the task of the new role. Gives you a much better understanding of the person you need to bring in and the skills they need. And you know, that's really a very simple way of doing that for you know, for companies. Instead of just going, we need an admin person, well, they might be doing this, they might be doing that. You can really work out what their role is. So it's a fantastic little tool. And I've used it, like I said, for many, many, many times. And it's always been an eye-opener. Because people know that they're getting busy, they're bringing someone else in because they're overwhelmed, so they need to know what tasks they're letting go of as well. So it kind of does it. It's a two-way street. It's a great process. So once you kind of know what task you're stuck with, rather than do a to-do list and kind of do, this is what we're going to do, one of the ways of coping with this is actually doing a diary. So you just put it in your diary, we call it default diary, and you write the task and the time allocated to them and when you're going to do them. Well, it's so much more powerful than just a to-do list, because you've allocated how long it's going to take and when you're going to do them. Of course, you can move them around, but if you have a default diary, you can put them in this way. Lots of people use something like this to manage their time better. So you always, because it has planned so clearly, you must start with the things that you can't move. So client meetings, bank meetings, meetings that you know are coming up, you put in, and then you work out your default diary around that, really. So the next thing you do is everyday tasks you choose, you choose when to do. So if you were doing your invoicing, you would choose to do that at a certain time, and you put it in your diary so you didn't forget, or chasing payments or whatever you want to put in there. And remember to build in time. This is where you build in time to work on your business, not just in it. So if you don't work on your business, again, failure for you is much more probable. You've got to think about where your business is going, how you need to improve it. You've got to better think about all these things. So it's such an important thing to do. So the default diary, is a good tool for that. And if you just start 3 hours a week working on your business, cash flow forecast is working on your business, because it's looking forward. Thinking, I would recommend that someone has a 5-year plan for their business, and that their business, they can see what it's going to be like in 5 years, 5 years time, and what turnover they're going to do, and what staff they're going to employ, and almost kind of build it on paper. And then you come back to today and work out how you're going to get there. And if you know what staff you're going to get, you kind of go, well, somewhere in that 5 years, I've got to employ them. So you start to work out what your trigger points to do that. And it gives you a much clearer idea where you're going. And I work with clients on how to do that. And this approach really focuses your attention priorities. You can use, with something like Google Calendar, you can use different colors for different priorities and all kinds of things. So cash flow. Cash really is, as I said earlier, the lifeblood of your company. So I get all my clients to do cash flow forecasts. We try for a year, 6 months. And listen, it's a guess. A cash flow forecast is a guess. If your excuse is, well, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know what's going to happen, well, of course you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to win that project or this project or whatever. But it's something you can do and you can guess. And the more you guess it, the more accurate you'll be in the future. So you need to start guessing, and you need to return to your cash flow forecast monthly to re-guess, and then also see what you've actually done compared to what your guess was. So all my clients get this template. It looks complicated. It's really not. Most of them are just fancy graphs and stuff which just populate themselves, but it's really simple to use. And we start with the front, which just gives you basically cash that's in the bank, and it just gives an overall view. And so basically what you're looking for is your cash in the bank should be going up every month, otherwise you're not making a profit. And strange enough, that's a problem. So the next thing you need to do in your cash flow forecast is list out your overheads. Lots of learning around overheads. What's an overhead? What isn't an overhead? People get this so wrong. If you've got a bloke on site with a van, his van is not an overhead. It's a monthly cost, but it's not an overhead. It's the cost of employing him. It should be on his hourly rate. So, but we cover that as well. Work in progress, otherwise known as WIP. So this is basically what work you've actually secured at the moment. And this sheet allows you to just put the total value, the markup, and then it will populate it if you put the start and end date of the project. So really simple. You could literally do this in half an hour and then update it in 10 minutes. So you should really have some kind of plan or project plan for each job, and that's quite important. And then my sheet allows you to also put your tenders in, and the difference is exactly the same way as you put work in progress in, but the difference is you can take it in and out of cash flow. So you can take it so that it's calculated into the dashboard, or it isn't. It doesn't matter. But it just means you can see, if you win a big tender, what effect does it have? If you lose a big tender, what effect is it going to have? So other tips for keeping your cash flow positive. Be tough but fair with suppliers. You know, if they send you invoices willy-nilly all over the place, you're paying people all over the place, it doesn't help your cash flow. So have a cut-off date each month. Fair enough. You know, loads of big companies do that. Why can't you? So it just means that you know when your payment's going out, and just make sure that you are clear with your suppliers that that's what you're doing. So have a cut-off date. It's really important. With clients, make sure we have a thing called the client's journey, which we teach. So it's all about working with your clients and making sure that you absolutely button down before you start everything that's going to happen. What you really try and do is zero surprises for your client. So they know what a variation is, they know what the payment terms are, they know what you're going to send them to get a payment. So we call it the client's journey. So it's about managing their expectations. It's a really powerful approach and it works really, really well. It has been a game changer for some of my clients because they've managed to kind of control their clients and manage them properly. So communicate with your client and payment terms clearly as part of that process. Ensure payments or stages are easy to check. So if you have commercial clients or you have people who want to check the stages of what you're putting in, if you put reams and reams of paper, that gives an excuse to be delayed in paying you. So make sure it's really simple, which is so important. Never overbook. So if you overbook, even on the basis, and I've had these people do this to me, it really annoys me, even on the basis, well, you know, by the time you pay us, we would have finished that bit. You never overbook. It creates mistrust, and you know, most clients see us builders as cowboy builders anyway. They're looking for an excuse. If you overbook, you're giving them that excuse, and it can cause a lot of problems. So never overbook or make an application. If you need to put a facility in place because your business is growing, so you need an overdraft or another facility, that's absolutely fine. It's not a failure. Some companies are growing at such a fast pace they need that facility in place. But know when you need it. Make sure you go out to the market and get a good deal. If you need it next week, you're not going to get a good deal. If you need it in 3 months' time, you've got time to kind of go out there and find a good deal and find the right product for you. Put a percentage of every invoice in a separate account to use in the future. So this is a thing called Profit First, something I teach a lot. I think it's a great way forward. So you set up 3 or 4 accounts, one's for VAT, one's for a bit of tax, and then you start with just 1% of your profit from every invoice. You put it into another account, and that'll build. And as you get more, you get your more accurate with your pricing and your profit and your KPIs. So your reporting, you can put more percentages in, and you'll start building up an account which is your profit. And you'll know what it is, and it'll be there in that account. And then you can decide if you need it back in the business to invest in the business, or you can decide to take it out. That's your decision. But it can just be a cash flow tool that you can use instead of using the bank. So it's a really good, simple system. So Mark Seaton, I'm still working with. I've worked with him for 2 years now. His business is growing substantially, and he's worked with me, and we sorted out his figures, we sorted out his team, we sorted out the structure of his company. It's all exciting stuff. He loves it. So we're moving him forward constantly. And he's a growing company. And I think he's got 3 or 4 companies. Well, I know he's got 3 or 4 companies. Yeah. So my program is called From Building Site to Business Owner. It's basically based on the fact that people who run construction companies often have a trade or site background, and so they should have, because it's a complicated industry and you've got to know what you're doing, but they haven't got the business acumen side of it. So what I'm doing, I've got the building side of it as well, but I'm teaching them how to run the business. So we have different options. So we've got group, we've got one-to-one, and we've got in person. So there's three options depending on the size of your business and your budget. So it's but basically teach the same thing to a point. Obviously, the in person is for larger companies who have slightly different problems. They have actually a lot of the same problems, but often teams and stuff like that is a problem for them as well. And I always say in construction, we've got what I call the construction 4 Ps. So the first one is products, the quality of your work and service. I will not work with anybody who is not trying to do the very, very best product they can. Just won't work with you, because basically, if you're not aspiring to do a really good product, then it's a difficult sell, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to compete on price, and you can't do that. If you compete on price, you end up not getting work when someone else is cheaper than you. Okay, so you've got to have a quality ethics really around the work and service you do. The second P is people. The people, whether it be subcontractors, self-employed, working for you directly, how you integrate with them, and the fact they're really good, and the fact you're not slow to get rid of people that don't fit in with your approach is really, really important. There are people out there, there's lots of good people out there, but they're not sitting on the couch waiting for you to employ them. They're actually in jobs. So all you've got to work out is what's missing from them in their jobs. There's lots of business owners don't look after their people, so you can take advantage of that. Process. So lots and lots of companies don't have any processes. So they create work for themselves by just winging it, and you can't do that. So you've got to have very, very strong processes. Everything should have a process. I'm not talking about complex things. If there's loads of page ticking and paperwork, it's not going to help you. But simple processes, but they're not a process, they're not a proper process until you write them down. And that's really important. And profit. Well, the reason profit comes forth is because if you do the other things right, you'll make a profit, guaranteed. So if you've got the right people, the right processes, and you produce a quality job and produce a quality service, you'll make a profit. So product, people, process, and profit. So benefits of the program, I'll just whiz through these, but I only take on people for a year minimum. People often stay beyond that. Most people stay beyond that because they get results and they carry on growing. So it's it's important that you commit to doing things. And again, if someone isn't committed to doing what they need to do, it creates a problem. So better delegation leading to more time to work on your business or spend with your friends and family. You've got to have downtime. It's really important for your focus to get downtime. You can't wait just for your summer holiday or, to start thinking about the business. You've got to better think about it all the time, which means you need downtime to have that focus. You almost immediately start seeing an increase in your profit. So that I can guarantee there are things you are doing which just are eating into your profit. We can change those quite quickly. Control of your finances. Well, you need to do that anyway. If you haven't got control of your finances, you've got a problem. So it's really important that you have some really robust systems in place for that. A proactive, engaged team, accountability, and scoreboard. So this is about really everybody rowing in the same direction. If you're in a rowboat and two people rowing backwards and some rowing forwards, and you're not going to go where you want to go, if you can get your team to all understand where you're going and be on board with getting there and be part of the solution rather than part of the problem, you can literally row up Everest. You can do amazing things the greatest times of my life is when I've had a team that really, really understand the vision and where we're going. They will work towards it. And we do a 90-day plan. So you get a long-term 3 or 5 year plan, and we do every 90 days, we do a 90-day plan, which is about really planning the route to your 5 or 3 year goals. So, and why 5 or 3? It's what you can focus and vision on. If you've got to realize that these are absolutely can be done, whatever you want to do. So I've got a company at the moment, started 5 years ago. They were turn over a few 100,000, 7.5 million this year. In 5 years' time, I hope to do 30 million. That is exceptional, but they were very focused. They've had help from the beginning. They've realised that it was really important to get someone in to kind of focus them. So if you want to do a few £1 million, I know turnover isn't everything, but it's just a good gauge on size. You can do it. You just got to believe you can do it and make sure you've got a route to do it, so you know how you're doing it. Delegation processes and how to do this correctly. I advocate a really simple quality control system, but it will cut down on snagging at the end of every project. So it's really simple. Can explain it to you in 10 minutes. But if you do it, it really makes a big difference. Core values. I used to think core values were really boring until I understood how to use them. So core values are really important. So you will get core values of your business, you'll understand them, we'll have them up on the wall so everyone understands them, and then we'll show you how to use them in everyone you employ and everyone that you have already employed, so that everyone kind of understands why they're there. The profit first system for your business. So we'll teach you that and help you put it in place. A review of your pricing and labour costs, so you can get some feedback on that. And full control of your business. I mean, that is really important. But the less stress you can have, the more you can focus on, getting on with it. Stress tends to be such a barrier. Worrying about things is a real barrier to getting on with it. So if you've got a few days of stress, that will take so much out of you. And it's, you've got to focus on positive stuff. You've got to get moving forward. And you can't let the stress and the row with the client or whatever's happening kind of dilute that focus. So that's really important. Full support from an industry expert and accountability throughout the program. So I'm the industry expert, by the way, if you were there, thinking about it. But yeah, accountability through the program, and we're improving the way we give accountability. We'll make you accountable every year. So every year we come up with new ideas. So group sessions. The group program starts with a one-to-one with me, which is 90 minutes, and we kind of get some quick changes and quick wins in there and kind of get things kind of moving, and then you move into a group session. But if you get stuck, I will be there to help you. All the sessions are recorded, so if you do miss one, you can record it. You can watch the recording, or if you want to kind of go back over it, you can watch the recording of the session. They're all done live. They're all done live, so each one is individual. And we also have a group of professionals that we recommend. We do it on the basis they're really good at what they do. So an accountant that just does construction, people to read contracts, stuff like that. They're introduced you to you, not because I get a backhander from them, because I don't, because they're good. So the only people that ever pay me are my clients. So if I'm introducing you to someone because you need help, they will be the right person to help you at the right cost, and you can get that support rather than having to try all these people yourself and getting it wrong. And every month we have a talk by someone in the industry or associated with the industry. So we've had talks on contracts, we've had talks on insurance, we've had talks on accountancy, we've had talks on positive mindsets and stuff like that. So every month there's one talk, and you're welcome to come along to that. So as I say to all my clients, and actually the feedback I get most from most of my clients is, wish we'd started earlier, wish we'd just gone for it. It's made such a big difference. So, where do you want to be 3 months from now? Do you want to be on the road to actually doing something about improving your business? Or do you want to be where you are now? So as I said, there's 3 ways of working with me. So we've got the gold package, which is the group. So we're offering that as a one-off payment of £6,000 for the year plus VAT, or we have a payment plan, which is 2,100 deposit, and then it's £499 a month. So that's the group one. The platinum package starts with me coming to visit you. So that's a visit to you and your sites. We look at your branding, we look at your team, we look at what you're doing. And that's £12,000 a one-off payment, or 3,600 deposit, followed by £910 a month plus VAT. And Platinum Plus is monthly visits from me to your office, and that is actually it's just gone up. So we're saying 20,000, but it's 24,000 now, because it's almost full. So that's really what we offer and how we offer it. I mean, this is available as a brochure if anyone wants one, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But basically we coach you through the same process, but in different ways. So it depends how it sits. I must say that the group package I think is really powerful, because to sit in a group with other people with the same problems, you get to discuss them. And you get to talk to people who are doing the exact same thing as you, and talk about what profit they're making, what profit they're not making, problems they've got. And we've even had people share subcontractors and help each other out. So yeah, that's quite a powerful thing. So I offer a guarantee, and it's really simple. It's about getting a return on your investment. So as long as you attend all the group meetings, and you actually implement what I teach, if you don't get a return on investment by the end of the 12-month program, I'll give you a full refund. So I know this works for the people that do that. So there's no question at all. So if you want to have a chat about that, you can book a call. Bronwyn, hopefully, who is my VA, who's on here somewhere, she can put a link in to into the chat. Otherwise, I will most probably give you a call anyway at some stage, and you can have a further chat, or you can chat to me now, whatever you want to do. One last little tip. It's called, it was a management tip which I promised you earlier. So it's called Passing the Monkey. And I kind of came across this when I was working for a very large developer, and I was working quite a long way from home, and it was reasonably stressful, but the company was very dysfunctional. So if you wanted bricks on site, you literally had to beg the buyers to prioritize your orders. So you're not only kind of fighting with subcontractors working for you, fighting in-house with this kind of politics of everything else. And I was finding that I was just getting overwhelmed. So I read this in the Havard Journal, and it just seemed like a really good idea to me. And I instigated, and it worked really well. So it's a simple 3-way strategy for when someone comes into you and gives you a problem, and they often do. So you'll find on site this happens a lot. I've got a problem, Frank. And you say, yeah, okay, just leave the details on my desk and I'll sort it out later. And then suddenly that person walks out and they haven't got a problem. So they've walked in with a monkey on their back and left you with a monkey on your back. And it's not really the way that things work. So you end up with 20 monkeys on your back and staff that just walk out and go, yeah, that's all sorted. So how do you stop that from happening? Well, one thing is to solve the problem for them straight away. when they come in. If it's that urgent, just do it. Don't delay. The second option is to ask them or direct them for others to help them resolve it. So if it's an architecture thing, get them to phone the architect. If it's someone else on site can help them, direct them to that person. Don't leave it for you to do it. And if they work directly for you, that's the kind of delegation that makes people actually start realizing they can't bring all the problems to you. They've got to try and solve some of themselves. And ask them to come back with 3 solutions. That's a really good one, because they really think about it. Because next time they're coming with a problem, they'll come in with the solutions. I mean, I started running sites at the age of 21, and I remember the tradesmen particularly loved to come in with a problem which they had the bloody solution to. They just wanted to know if I knew. So it's a bit of a game to them. So really the benefits to you is just frees up your time. Even if you had a 50% hit rate on this and didn't take on 50% of what came through your door, that would free up loads of time. So, and I think it generally, for me, it works more than that. It was quite good. And it ensures that anyone who reports to you in any which way, subcontractors, whoever, start using their own initiative. So it's a really good system. I mean, and it worked for me on a building site. So, I loved it, and it made a big difference. So kind of closing up, really, the secret to success in business really is to me is down to one thing. And that is be consistent. You've got to be consistent in everything you do. If you run a system, you've got to run it. If you don't, I often had this where people go, well, the system doesn't work. And so, we're not bloody using it. Of course it doesn't work. So that's really, really important. And always follow your chosen process through, because that is important. So, Dan, any questions?